Is the retirement age in the United States being bumped up to 70? So to get Social Security full benefits, do you have to wait till age 70? Is that what is happening in our country? Let me bring in my co-host, Tony Shore, who's a big fan of waiting until you're 75 or 80 to retire. Isn't that what
No,
you're
no,
never going to retire?
nope,
What is it?
nope. That's not what I'm saying. For me personally, I love what I do, and I want to keep doing this as long as my voice holds out. I'm planning between 67 and 70. I'm hoping to make it to 70 doing this full time at least, but we will see. It's funny. They always say man plans, God laughs, right?
Mhm.
We make our
Yeah.
plans, but we have no idea what the future holds. I might have to retire in 2 years. I might be able to retire at 75. I don't know yet.
Well, you're right. And um, the saying in the U.S. is "man plans and the government laughs," and people
Yeah.
people are looking at our government. I laugh at the government, but we know Social Security is going to have a shortfall if we don't do anything.
Right.
So we're talking specifically about Social Security, not retiring. You can retire whenever you want,
Sure.
assuming you have the funds. But when do you take Social Security, and when do you get the 100%? There's talk. Now we did a show. I think it was 2 years ago, Tony, on France. Remember when there were riots in
Yes.
France in the streets?
Yes.
Literally, people were marching in the streets, and there was no garbage pickup service. There was there was a lot of government services that got shut down because they raised the retirement age from age 62 to 64 in France, and people were outraged by that.
Yeah.
Well, did you know that Denmark retirement age has been bumped to 70 by 2040, and making Denmark the highest age in Europe?
Wow. They're gonna go. They're
Yes,
gonna do us one better. We laughed at France because it's like it was going from what 60 to
62
63.
to 64. It's like, come
Yeah,
on.
2 more years, 64.
And they're
Who's
still below
retiring?
us.
Yeah, yeah,
But then again, who's getting the last laugh there? It's like, why not retire early?
right.
But
And
again,
enjoy.
um,
Yeah.
so I just saw this in the news, and I have a friend that's over there in Copenhagen
Ooh,
now.
ooh.
So I was wondering, I'm thinking Google's got my search history because I was talking to him about it, and they're like, let's send him stuff about Denmark. I'm like, geez. But it came to use because I saw this headline. Turns out the country's current retirement age is 67, and they're raising it to 68 by 2030, 69 by 2035, and then
Sure,
at 70 in 2040. So this is
sure.
according to the BBC article I was reading. So this gradual shift is very similar to what we did in the 1980s
Yeah.
with Reagan
Yep.
to make it go from 65 to 67. And now we're at that point where people born 1962 are maxed out. Anyone younger, 67 was always the retirement age, according to them, right?
Yeah.
In Denmark, this applies to anyone born 1970, December 31st, 1970 or later. So their full retirement age would be 70. And so they did it. Why can't we?
We
Or should we?
probably will. There's been a lot of talk. They think that's how they're going to shore up Social Security, right? This deficit that they're going to have in the Social Security, whatever fund or that they call it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So,
Interestingly enough, in Denmark, the Social Democrat Prime Minister, I don't know how to pronounce the name, Mette Frederiksen, said the sliding scale principle would eventually be renegotiated. So this idea is like, yeah, we're going to say so, but I don't think we're going to raise it again past 70. I think that's it, right?
sure.
Similar to probably what Reagan said in the 80s, 67, but that's it, never above that, but
Yeah.
kick the can. So you're right, though. There has been talk about raising the retirement age for Social Security full benefits in the United States as a means to fix the issue we have. But if
Yeah.
we're looking at it compared to Denmark, I just want to do a quick comparison. Denmark's population is about 6 million. I had to look this up because I had no idea.
Sure.
And that's similar to Maryland and Missouri, or Missouri, depending on where you're from. I'm heading to Missouri, later on this week
Have
to
fun.
take my son to orientation for his new college experience. So I was like, wow, 6 million there. That's the size of Denmark, population wise. Physical size, I'm not really sure how big Denmark is, probably like West Virginia or somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So it's easy for them, or for them to say we're going to raise it because the whole country is 1/50th of ours. But it would be similar to saying, all right, Maryland, we're going to raise the full retirement age to 70 for all state employees. Is it doable? Because it's a smaller scale. When you're dealing with the US, it's a much bigger, there's a whole lot more moving parts and people. It's tough to say. Will it work? So anyway, I wanted to bring this up because you just said it. You know can you tell me what senator would be the big proponent of raising it to 70? Do you have any ideas? It was kind of a favorite of mine. Do you know what senator was kind of pitching to raise the retirement age to 70?
I would have no idea. Is his name
Well,
Ted?
you've seen me wear my taxation is theft shirt.
Rand
from
Paul?
Yes. So Rand Paul made an amendment to the Social Security Fairness Act, which was just passed in January of 2025, effective January 2024. The Social Security Fairness Act was eliminating the government pension offset and the windfall elimination provision. So people that had government pensions were getting a reduced Social Security benefit. That's no longer the case, right? And we're close to that getting through the system already, which was great. We did a whole show on that. If you have a government pension and you don't know about this, watch that show. However, as part of that bill that passed, Rand Paul made an amendment, which didn't get amended, by the way. This didn't happen. But he made the pitch that said, hey, based on life expectancies, based on us running out of money, we should increase the full retirement age to 70. And we start by every 3 months raising it a year until we get to 70. Or I'm sorry, raise the full retirement age by 3 months every year until eventually we go from 67 full retirement age to 70, the full retirement age. And I'll put a link to those that are watching to actually see the amendment. You can read what Rand Paul's logic was and the actual amendment, which, by the way, again, did not pass. But the theory was, by raising the full retirement age to 70, less benefits will get paid out because more people will be waiting. And if you wait till 67, right now you get 100%. You wouldn't get 100% at 67 now. Right. You get a reduction because the full retirement age is older.
Right.
So when I looked at the bill and I was looking at it happening in 2025, how many years do you think it would shore up Social Security? Meaning, how many extra years would we get out of the system before we don't have enough money to pay out if we did this strategy of raising it to 70 over the course of every three months every year? Do you have any guesses at how many years it would buy us?
I don't know. I was told, Dan, I was told there would be no math. How many years would it buy us?
Well, you've said before we can raise the retirement age, but that's not going to cut it. It's not going to be enough.
Right. It's not enough.
It's not enough. I think I saw in an article about it, it would only give us an extra year before the Social Security.
Only 1 year?
Now, that's because it would have been implemented this way. 2025, only 3 months. So 67 in 3 months would be the new retirement age. Next year would be 67 in 6 months.
Too incremental.
We need to do it like hard and fast, right? And Rand Paul's comment was, listen, 10 years ago, I was pitching this. And had we done it then, we would have gotten 50 years extra. But because we kicked the can 10 years and didn't do anything, now if we do it, we're only going to get a year because of the beautiful Einstein's power of compounding interest on our debt. So Demographics suggest we're living longer. We should raise the full retirement age. Demographics also suggest that more people are taking out of Social Security than putting in. And here we are.
Yeah, they've kicked this
So we're
can. You
going,
use the phrase. The problem is they've kicked this can down the road too far, and they keep doing it. And I'm shocked. I thought, and you thought, I know you thought that they would, like maybe Biden as a last. He's got
yes,
nothing to lose. He's a lame duck president. You thought his administration would pass a Social Security reform, and that he could
yes,
at least say, I did that, I saved Social Security
totally.
or
He would
something.
have
Yeah.
been the hero to
Yeah,
everybody.
exactly. It turns out he probably wasn't in the shape to do a lot. His administration
No.
could have driven it, or senators like Rand Paul should have worked together with the administration and got it done. But there's too many people just won't do it because they think their opponents will say, you cut Social Security benefits. That's what they're all afraid of. They don't want to be the one. They don't want to be labeled as being cutting it, but you've got to save the program. You could still be a hero if you say, I saved Social Security. And if it would have been incremental, it would have been better and eased. We could have all eased into it a little bit like, they kind of did it when Reagan did it. They kind of did an easing.
Yeah.
But they could do it a little.
50
They're
years.
going to need to do it quicker, and they're going to need to do more. I think they could make up a lot of ground if they take the cap off of how much income when you're working, how much of your income is tax for Social Security. Tax only comes out of the first, what is it, 170,000 or 160,000?
Something around there. Yeah.
And I
That's
know,
right.
there's a lot of executives out there and a lot of people actually making more than $200,000 a year in reportable income. So I think, and above, and I think that would really go a long way. You'd have to do it along with. No one thing's going to solve it, right?
No. And when France made that move 2 years
Mhm.
ago, 3 years
Yeah.
ago, I said maybe this will wake up the United States because they were doing it, and what they were saying was we got to do it for the future,
Yeah.
right? It hurts now, but and then I said Biden's going to make the change because that would clean the slate of all of his misgivings and poor performance, in my opinion. It would have superseded all that, but that didn't happen. So I was wrong there. And now the question is, are the Danes going to be the ones that push us? That's what you call people from Denmark, right? Danes. Are the Danes going to be the ones that say,
Sure.
push the US over and be like, wow, if Denmark's doing it,
Yeah.
I don't know if Denmark's considered one of those democratic socialist countries that Bernie Sanders is a big fan of, but if we see and if you look at the language and the commentary coming out of the leadership of Denmark, it's we're doing this because we want to protect the most vulnerable over time. If we don't make changes, it's going to run out and it's going to strain the system, and
Yeah.
those needed the most are going to get hurt the most.
Yeah.
So it is a delayed gratification. It's a shared responsibility. It's a socialist program, really. It's a Ponzi scheme, from many people say. And if you don't have enough people putting back in, you got to make cuts, right? You have to.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you can also change it multiple facets, multiple ways. We've done a show specifically on all the different ways they could do it. It includes a calculator and a way you can contact your local congressman to get change to happen. But maybe it's the Danes. Maybe that will be what does it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think anything that Europe does ever influences what America does. That's the thing.
Well, if it's war,
We've always
maybe.
gone our own way. But I want to clarify some terms. It's the Social Security Trust Fund is what we're talking about. And
Yes.
there's really two trust funds that help, and it's really a the word escapes me, but it's a backup. As long as people are working, money will be coming into Social Security.
Right.
It's not
Right.
the trust fund dries up. That's like the reserves or the Social Security Reserve Fund. They need that to keep growing and to help pay because
Right.
not enough people are working to cover everything. So we need these funds. And if they dry out at a certain time, it's not like Social Security goes away at that point.
Right.
But
it's just a reduction.
it's going to be a huge reduction for everyone if those funds go dry. You have to have people working, and Dan, isn't the problem, which we've talked about before, the problem is we now have way more people entering into retirement and leaving the workforce than we have entering the workforkforce.
Yes, right.
So the percentage
it's
of
just
people,
a mathematical equation.
yeah, contributing has gone down. That's why we're in this. The number of people actually working and contributing to Social Security has gone down. Well, the number of people retiring and filing for Social Security keeps going up and up.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the money that people are putting into Social Security through their taxes now is actually going to the people that are claiming now. So the system is going to collapse and not be able to pay out what they said they would be able to pay out, simply because of demographics. Less people working, more people claiming. So what do? Well, we get more people to work. We make more money on the money in the trust fund. No, I think we have to make changes to the program itself, painfully, right? But it's got to happen. No one's going to do it. Everyone says it's a third rail. Maybe Trump will do it. Maybe he will do it. He tried to get taxes tax-free. That didn't help, right? The big, beautiful bill is beautiful. The best.
It's
bill.
one big, beautiful bill.
It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's the best. It is. By the way, I'm still working on getting him to comment on the podcast. I'm trying to get him on. That does not address the budget, the problem. It doesn't address Social Security's problem. Or
the big beautiful bill
problem.
adds to the problems.
Right. Yeah. So if we don't look at what Denmark's doing and say multiply that times 50, same problem, we need to come up with solutions. And it's not going to be just raising the retirement age to 70. It's going to be raising the retirement age and doing this and doing that. Someone's got to do it.
Maybe it's like you mentioned. But you keep bringing up Denmark, but it's a lot easier for a really, really small country like that to rip off the Band-Aid. It's not going to hurt as much. For when America rips off that Band-Aid, it's going to hurt a lot more.
Well,
it's talking about millions of people versus hundreds of thousands of people, right?
And what are we going to do? We're going to wait till the last minute again, like we did in the 80s, last minute. And like we did in World War II, last minute. It wasn't until, the 11th hour that we joined in the fight. I think this is what's going to happen. But I think it's going to get fixed. Ideally, well, I'm not even going to go there. But I just saw that in Denmark, this happened. I'm like, maybe Tony. So I might make that prediction. I'll be 0 for 3, but I might make the prediction that it's going to be the Denmark politics of Denmark that actually are the tipping point for the U.S. I don't know. I don't feel that confident. It's my least confident prediction, but I'm throwing it out there, Tony. I'm going on a limb.
We can only hope, right? I mean, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. Yeah.
We'll see. So if not, and if I'm right, Tony, you're buying me a trip to Copenhagen and we'll go in there. That's the bet. If we don't, then I'll send
from
you
the laughter. Yeah, I'll get a Florida Dolphin keychain. Excellent.
Fair deal.
Sure.
Ooh, the Danes are after me. All right, Tony. Thanks for the show. We'll catch everyone next week.
All matters discussed in today's show are for informational purposes only.
This show is not investment advice.
Dan Whittle nor Dolphin Financial Group are affiliated or endorsed by any government agency.
Investment advisory services are offered through Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor in the state of Florida.
Insurance products and services are offered through Dolphin Insurance, Inc.
Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc. and Dolphin Insurance, Inc. are affiliated companies doing businesses as Dolphin Financial Group.
You should talk to someone at Dolphin Financial Group before implementing any of these strategies or ideas.